बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। हरि नाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय हो। Today I am going to do Shuddha Bhakat Charana Renu. Shuddha Bhakat Charana Renu Bhajana Nukula Bhakat Seva Parama Siddhi Premalati Karamula माधवती थी भक्ति जननी जतन पालन कारी कृष्ण वसती वसती बोली परम आदर वारी गौरा मारा ये सब स्थाने करल ब्राह्मण रंगे ते सब स्थान हेरि भो आमी प्रणयी भकत संगे मृदंग वाद्य सुनिते मन अवसर सदयाचे गौर विहित कीर्तन सुनि आनंदे हृदय नाचे जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परमानंद होया प्रसाद सेवा करिते होया सकल प्रपंच जना जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया चरण सिधु देखिया गंगा सुख न सीमा पाया तुलसी देखी जुड़ाया प्राण माधव तो क्षणि जानी गौर प्रिय शाक सेवने जीवन सार्थक मानी भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजने अनुकूल पाय जाहा प्रति दिवस से परम सुखे स्वीकार करे ताहा शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूला प्रेमलती करमूला। जय भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर की जय हो। जय प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Now I am going to do जीव जागो भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर की जय हो। जीव जागो गौरा चांद बोले जीव जागो गौरा चांद बोले कत निद्रा जाओ माया पिशाची रकोले कत निद्रा जाओ माया पिशाची रकोले जीव जागो गौरा चंद बोले भजी बाबा लिया ऐसे संसार भितारे भूलिया रहिले तू भी अविद्यार भारे तुम्हारे लईते आम्ही हेनु अवतार आम्ही बिना बंधुआर किया छे तुम्हारा जीव जागो गौरचंद बोले, कत निद्रा जाओ माया, पिशाची रकोले, हेनेची औषधी माया, नशिबार लागी, हरि नाम महामंत्र, लो तुम्ही मागी, भक्ति विनोद प्रभु, चरणी पडिया, श्री हरि नाम मंत्र, लैल मागिया, जीव जागो, गौरचंद बोले, कत निद्रा जाओ माया, पिशाची रकोले, कत निद्रा जाओ माया, पिशाची रकोले, जीव जागो, गौरचंद बोले, जीव जागो, गौरचंद बोले, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे, कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे। श्री भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर की जय हो, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Translation: Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping soul, wake up. Sleeping soul, how long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Mahamantra. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for so wonderful seva. Nandit pranam to all devotees. प्रभु जी आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है, म्यूट।
I was on mute. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back. So first, we'll offer our prayers to our Guru Parampara, then the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and all the way to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So now we offer prayers to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then followed by the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratrise Namah. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You assume the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangapangastra Parshadam Yagnahi Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasaham. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. And although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. And he's accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnai Kanipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tripuvane Manyau Sharanya Karau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna. Welcome back, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So we have been hearing from Sri Prema Vivarta, that is the author by Jagadananda Prabhu, who is the confidential companion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he has a very unique style, as you by this time you know that. So we will be doing some very, very important classes over this weekend. First, we will do on Ekadasi, the author's view on that, and he's going to share with some wonderful, significant things about Ekadasi. We all observe Ekadasi as a Vaishnava, right? But he is going to share something that we may or may not know, okay? Some of you may know. And particularly there is a little conflict in there, so we will hear directly what is to be observed and how it is to observed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own lotus mouth. So before I begin today's classes, this is we will do over this weekend lesson 11, 12, and 13. Lesson 11 will begin with Ekadasi, and part of it will continue with the Nama Mahima. And that, as I told you, I've been telling you, it's really almost half of this book. The author really contributes to our Maha Mantra. And it's no wonder, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this particular Maha Mantra to us. That's his gift. That in Kali Yuga, this is the best and most powerful way of worshipping Lord Shri Krishna. So before I begin, I'm sure Prabhuji has arranged, or he might be doing recapping what we did in lesson 12, I believe. Sharat Prabhuji, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, lesson 10 was our last lesson. So lesson 10 was actually a fairly long lesson comprising of 90 texts. The different codes of conduct for different devotees, Bhakta Bhede, Achara Bheda, was discussed and explained in the last class. So we started with a very important and key ingredient of religion, that is devotion. Without devotion, any religion is just a deception. Sarup Damodar Das Goswami advises these confidential instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami. Devotion means to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead sincerely, truly, and by maintaining the body by proper conduct. That is, by maintaining the body according to the duties of the class in which one is born and in the order in which one is situated. The human life of those who practice religion without serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is ruined. Hence, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was advised to stay away from householders, students, retired householders, and renunciants who are devoid of Krishna Bhakti. Going forward, we learned there are two types of Vaishnavas. But who is a Vaishnava? People whose sole object of worship is Sri Krishna are Vaishnavas, and on the other hand, there are people who give up home and beg as a renunciant, but they are devoid of worship towards Lord Krishna, and they are not Vaishnavas. Service to Lord Krishna is the highest, and such souls who are devoted to the service of Lord Krishna are worshipable to their own fathers, but those who are devoid of this are no better than toy dogs. Hence, a pure devotee of Lord should never accept remnants of other demigods and invitations to sacrifices performed for karma kanda. Vaishnavas can be grahasthas or sannyasis, as both are qualified for devotion. Both are required to practice proper renunciation, and both are equal in terms of pure knowledge and pure devotion. But the codes of conduct are different for different devotees. Divine love awakens when one serves Lord Krishna with a clear understanding of his relationship with him and by practicing proper renunciation in this regard. So now let us learn the duties of householder Vaishnavas, as most of us belong to this group. We should earn our livelihood according to our prescribed duties and serve the Lord and his devotees to the best of our financial capability. We should avoid offenses towards the holy name. We should intensify our chanting by accepting the favorable and rejecting the unfavorable to devotional service. And we should not envy others and try to be compassionate to all. And here are the duties of Vaishnava sannyasis. He should engage his life in the worship of Lord Sri Hari by living a simple life devoid of accumulations and shouldn't converse with people of opposite gender. Most important is a Vaishnava, be it a grahastha or a sannyasi, should not be deceitful. Such a person is a disgrace to the Vaishnava society. It is a duty of all to serve Lord sincerely without deceit, duplicity, dishonesty, knowing Krishna to be all in all. A deceitful Vaishnava will only roam about and while away his time and life in sense gratification. It is the mercy of Lord when he descends and engages in pastimes to attract the souls trapped in worldly occupations and bestow them with devotion. But a deceitful man considers himself to be the Lord and imitates his pastimes. He only ruins his religious principles. A pure devotee's service to Shri Radha Krishna is confidential devotion that exists within the heart, not in body. A pure Vaishnava worships the divine couple on a spiritual platform in Vraja, in the mood of a gopi. He stays away from bad association. A foolish, sinful, wretched person imitates the Lord on the bodily platform for sense gratification and goes to a hell called Kumbhipaka. Thus, Srila Swarup Damodar Das Goswami reveals this confidential truth to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami that all devotees are females and only Lord Krishna is male. Raghunath Das Goswami further prays to Swarup Damodar Das Goswami to explain him the answer to this statement. Devotion free from social duty is the best form of devotion. Why should a householder be engaged in prescribed duties when he can give it up to practice devotion? Srila Swarup Damodar Das Goswami kindly replies. He says, one can easily maintain oneself by following one's own social duties, but it is difficult to follow others' duties because it is unnatural. To attain pure devotion, one should accept the favorable and reject the unfavorable to devotion in the midst of their social duty. What is to be given up is the attachment to the social duty and not the duty. And to be a sadhu, one should develop attachment in the heart to devotional service. The mentality of following the rules and regulations for the sake of formality has to be removed. And this is Vaishnava etiquette, because remembering Krishna is the only rule and not forgetting Krishna is the only regulation. In order to hear further explanation about Vaishnavas, Srila Swarup Damodar Das Goswami elaborates. Both Grihasthas and Sannyasi Vaishnavas belong to the Lord's family lineage. They are detached to social duties. They give up worldly families and accept Krishna's family. Some reside in their spiritual bodies as Vrajagopis. They are Swarup Siddha Bhaktas, and others practice Aropa Siddha Bhakti within their minds. Srila Swarup Damodar Das Goswami explains three types of Vaishnava devotion: Aropa Siddha Bhakti, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, and Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. We will first see Aropa Siddha Bhakti. It is for beginners who are conditioned, averse to Lord, materialistic, constantly engrossed in material happiness and sadness, and haven't experienced anything other than matter. They know nothing about spirit, don't know that they are spiritual beings, but due to some agyata sikriti, faith develops in their heart and they aspire to be delivered. In their aspiration, they find a guru who teaches them to worship Lord Krishna. They simply hear about the Lord, understand that everything belongs to him, then worships the Lord's form with his paraphernalia, with fragrance, flowers, incenses, and lamps. Offering actions in this way to Lord is ascription. By this ascription, they consider everything to be spiritual property and sometimes perceive spiritual reality and gradually develop devotional strength. The principle is to offer material objects and actions in a devotional way, but objectionable objects and actions cannot be offered. Only actions and objects that are pleasing to Lord is Aropa Siddha Bhakti. Now the second form of Bhakti is Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Humility, compassion, tolerance accompanied with pure knowledge and proper renunciation are the limbs of Sangha Siddha Bhakti. As pure devotion cannot be devoid of pure knowledge and proper renunciation. And finally, the Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. The act of devotion itself is Swarupa Siddha Bhakti, comprising of the 9 types of devotional service. Hearing about Sri Krishna, chanting his name, remembering him, offering service to his lotus feet, offering him worship in the temple, offering prayers to him, working as his servant, making friendship with him, and unreservedly surrendering unto him. So the main focus of all these practices is Krishna. And the first 2 types of devotion are there in Swarupa Siddha Bhakti secondarily. The essence of natural propensity of a soul is pure bhakti. It arises in the mind of a conditioned soul and expands as inclination towards Krishna within their material body. This is how goddess of bhakti exists in this world. Finally, the 3 functions of the 3 types of devotion. First, an act of devotion itself is Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. Second, Sangha Siddha Bhakti assists and accompanies Swarupa Siddha Bhakti everywhere. And third, Aropa Siddha Bhakti is practiced in connection with material objects and actions. When practiced with realization of spirit, it conquers material nature. So like this, through Srila Swarupa Damodar Das Goswami's advice, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami understood the nature of pure love in the company of Jagadananda Pandita Jagai. So let us get ready to hear about the topics of Ekadashi that will be covered in lesson 11. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Samantha Mataji. So beautifully done. And it was, I really understand it was very challenging to summarize what I presented last week, 90 verses in just 10-15 minutes. I really give it to you. You've done so wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, before I begin, I'd like to introduce you a wonderful devotee. And she's also visiting Chicago in our host home. She's from Florida, US. And let me bring her here. Her name is Reshma Mataji. Here it is.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
everyone.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I'm really, I just met her just 2 days back, and I'm really impressed. She's an aspiring devotee, but already she has studied Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita so thoroughly. I was amazed, really, her detailed understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we begin. So as I usually do, Jagadananda Prabhu has a very unique style as an author of this book, his book, Sri Prema Vivarta. And again, I want to just to make sure we all understand what Prema Vivarta means. And as we all know, the author, Jagadananda Prabhu, is an incarnation of Queen Satyabhama. And Queen Satyabhama had a very fiery nature, but she was one of the very, very favorite queens of Shri Krishna. And Krishna really liked her fiery nature, but given her deep devotion, he really enjoyed, So Jagadananda Prabhu also likewise a very fiery nature, and many times out of his great love, he used to quarrel. And remember, he was a childhood buddy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Nadia district when Mahaprabhu was known as Nimai Pandita, And when Mahaprabhu actually moved after taking sannyas order, he moved to Jagannath Puri. So Jagadananda Prabhu also moved with him. And even his childhood school days, they used to quarrel a lot. and Mahaprabhu used to tolerate because he knew how much deep love Jagadana Prabhu had and reverential attitude toward the Lord. And out of his great love for him, then only he quarreled actually. So it should not be interpreted as any kind of offense. Mahaprabhu did not take it that way. So that is Vivarta, and it's Prema. So out of great love, you know. So making sure you all understand that. So I'm going to move on and give you a brief synopsis before we actually go through the actual reading of the verses by the author, because his writing style is very straightforward, as if he's speaking to us face to face in a very simple language and a very self-explanatory verses, nothing so complicated, okay? And so first we will hear his about Sri Kadasi. And I told you right at the outset that the Kadasi prasadam, as the scriptures require, that we must honor, okay, right away, you know. But then the confusion is that Shri Krishna we offer bhoga, not necessarily Ekadasi bhoga, you know. We refrain on Ekadasi day from grains and so on like that. But we offer bhoga even on Ekadasi day, Shri Krishna, all the usual stuff, you know. So it's kind of a little bit difficult to understand how do we honor prasadam offered, you know, bhoga offered, then become prasadam of Krishna on Ekadasi day, because on Ekadasi day we are not supposed to eat grains, you know. So here, just for our benefit, many of the close associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly asked, and it turns out on Ekadasi day, once on Ekadasi day, Mahaprabhu was there. We are talking about Jagannath Puri, okay, in the outskirts of the Gundicha temple, and suddenly someone brought a bhoga offered to the Lord Jagannath, you know, and the prasadam was brought in when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. So to demonstrate, Mahaprabhu just prasadam you honor by honoring it on his head, and he instructed that save that prasadam until the Purnati, that is the next day of Ekadasi, and then he would honor it, you know. So that is the way we should follow. So, but we will hear his explanation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. The most important element that I learned, that it is not that, but it's really on Ekadasi day particularly, we spend as much time as possible to remember Shri Krishna, okay, and chant his glories, refrain from eating anything if we can, but some of us cannot. I cannot, because I had to take a lot of medicines. So I just eat non-grain food offered to Krishna as prasadam, and fruits, milk, like that I consume. And the next day, of course, you know, regularly we eat. So and then we would also, after hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own words about how we should observe Ekadasi, and the main point is, like I said, is chanting, discussing Krishna Katha in the company of other devotees. That is the way we should spend. And other thing, that Ekadasi day, you should also, if not all night, at least observe to midnight and chanting the holy name. So with that, and then we'll continue with Nama Mahima, the glories of the holy name. And that, as I told you before, the author Jagannatha Prabhu spends almost half of his book actually in Nam Mahima. There are 255 verses. So we'll do that in 3 lessons, 11, 12, 13. And then it will continue later on in chapter 20, which we'll do as lessons 14, 15, and 16, all the way. And there are many, many verses, okay? So with that brief introduction, we will straightway get into the Jagannatha Prabhu's own verses. Let me see if I have PowerPoint. Just give me a minute. Okay, I got it. Now, unfortunately, the setup here is such that the camera, the laptop I use, that is almost 90 degree, and it's a small screen. So we have a monitor. Monitor is about 90 degree away. So if I have to look at the monitor, then my face is turned almost 90 degree. So if you'd pardon me for that. So this is the first slide that you always see, which is the really all the themes of this course. Expand to the whole page. So as you can see, this is there are lesson 16 lessons are there, and there are 20 chapters, and we are almost coming to the end of this course. And the one which we are going to do it today, it's identified in the yellow box. As you can see, lesson 11, that is correspond to chapter 18, the topics of Ekadasi. Okay, and of course the dates are there for the class schedule. And then tomorrow for India, for tomorrow and day after tomorrow, India, Singapore, and other places, lesson 12 and 13, that is chapter 19. That's the collection of all the mysteries. Some of you may know some of the thing which you may not know. It might be really something interesting to find out. The mysteries of the holy name, and later on the glories of the holy name, which we'll do it in chapter 20, that we'll do in 3 lessons, okay, 14, 15, and 16, and thereby we will conclude the course. Okay, so first, today's lesson 11, the topics of Ekadasi. So here are the walk through this particular chapter 18. There are only 21 verses.
Not showing the slides. Not sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should. Give me a minute, okay? Share the screen, sorry. Okay, can you see this my screen now?
Yes,
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 Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
All
Yes,
right,
Prabhuji.
thank you. Okay, so you can see the full screen now, everybody? Haribo?
No, Prabhuji.
Not yet?
No.
I thought
Not the full screen.
You see the screen, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to try to show you the full screen. Now, can you see? Okay, I think the Mataji from Toronto showed you how to make a full screen on your screen. No? Benji, आप है वहाँ? क्योंकि on my screen it's a full screen, but all of you have to adjust it there in your screen, you know.
Mine is not full screen.
I don't know what to do now.
No, we got it. I
it?
got it. Got it.
Okay, okay, it's good. Please explain to others how they can do it. Can you, Benji, आप explain करेंगे?
It is coming automatically.
It is automatically coming.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. So in this slide, lesson 11, chapter 18, there are only 21 texts are there, and it's all about Ekadasi and the topics of Ekadasi. So first 6 verses is about the explanation about Sri Ekadasi itself. Then verses 7 and 8, the Ekadasi that was observed in Sri Jagannath Puri when Mahaprabhu was around. Okay, and text 9 to 20, how Mahaprabhu explains how we should observe. So that's the conclusion of Mahaprabhu himself that he summarizes after explaining the question that was put forward to him. That what was the question? That on Ekadasi day to Krishna, we offer the regular bhoga like every day else, okay? Even including the grains. But we as devotees observing Ekadasi, we don't consume grains, okay? So here Mahaprabhu, by his own example, he's going to explain to us that on that day, of course, when the prasadam comes in front of you, you honor it by putting on your head, but then you actually partake Ekadasi prasadam, and that is next day, the regular prasadam. Okay, next day to Ekadasi day. So we will see in his own words, Mahaprabhu's own words. So that is text 9 through 20 we will hear. And that is really the highlight of how we should observe Ekadasi. The most important element that I could understand in Ekadasi day, that we spend maximum amount of time that we can do to really chanting the holy name and really read about all these, all about Krishna Katha in the company of all other devotees. So in final verse 21, that Mahaprabhu, in his own words, he's telling us that serving the holy name, very important verse, okay? Very important verse. The serving the holy name and following Ekadasi is really one and the same, okay? So you really have to regard Ekadasi on an equal footing as if you're serving the Lord. So now, here we will hear and we will read directly. As I said, I've already given you the synopsis, the highlight of what the author is telling us, but now we will read in his own words, okay? And it is quite simple language, very simple words, as if he's speaking right in front of you. So we'll first, on the left side of the screen that you'll see is Ekadasi itself, first 6 verses, and then verse 7 and 8, how Ekadasi that was observed by none other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, along with all his most confidential associates. And that includes not only the author, but Swarup Damodar Goswami and many others, okay? So let's go ahead. So verse 1, it so happened one day, Mahaprabhu was seated in Gundicha temple, and then Janmashtami Prabhu, I'm sorry, not Janmashtami, actually he was my teacher, and Jagannath Vallabha garden, that is the place Gundicha temple, it was pure Ekadasi day, all right? And the Lord spent the whole day and night chanting the holy name. Just imagine, whole day, 24 hours of the day, Mahaprabhu was showing by his own example how we should observe Ekadasi. Then Sarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai, very two confidential associates, and the author takes a lot of instructions from these two great personalities, the direct associates of Mahaprabhu. And then Vakreshwar Prabhu also there, and other devotees residing in Jagannath Puri, Sri Purushottam Kshetra, where they were there with the Lord, and the Lord said, sing, like, listen, important, very important instruction Mahaprabhu is telling us, that single-mindedly, with full focus, you chant the holy name, okay, and avoid sleeping and eating. Now, some of us, it may not be possible all day and not eating at all, Nirjala Ekadasi, and some devotees they do even today, okay, but quite a few of us, for whatever reasons, for medical reasons, I cannot fast. I cannot do Nirjala Ekadasi. Only one Ekadasi, which is the biggest Ekadasi, comes in a year. That day, Bhim Ekadasi. Thank you, man. That day I observe Nirjala Ekadasi. And my wife is very strict about that because of my heart condition. I just follow only Ekadasi Prasadam, but with a regular thing. The third verse, some of you should chant Japa. So Mahaprabhu is instructing his close associates, and by their example, their instructions also meant for all of us. Some of you, Mahaprabhu is saying, should chant Japa. Now we'll hear in the words of the author what is the difference between Japa and Kirtana, But just to tell you briefly, Japa means you chant yourself in a softly, but you should hear while you chant, okay, in a very soft words, soft voice. But when you do Kirtana, then of course you sing loudly and dance too, and that is called Kirtana. And Sankirtana, you do it in the congregation. Quite a few of the other devotees, like in the temple or elsewhere, if you are invited some guest at your home, everyone loudly chant, dance, great ecstasy. That is called Sankirtani Yajna. And that is the message Mahaprabhu gave us. That's the greatest gift of the Lord. Some of you should speak about Lord Balarama and Krishna, and bowing wherever they were, everyone should chant Govinda, 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 like that, and become completely intoxicated. What is meant by intoxicated? In that great ecstasy, really your heart in it, with full of emotions, because you are going to serve in a Prema Bhakti, you're going to serve with your emotions arising from your heart. You don't imitate, okay? Very important, you don't imitate, but try your best. Don't do it mechanically, as I tell all of you so frequently, like a broken record. Completely intoxicated with intense divine love. Fourth verse, at that time, Gopinath Acharya, one of the associates of Mahaprabhu, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya brought Mahaprasadam from the Gundicha temple, and they placed, now remember, as I told you before, the Lord, even on Ekadasi day, you serve everything regular. So that included that particular day, rice preparation, some vegetables, pancakes, drinks, sweet rice, yogurt, and curd before Mahaprabhu. Now Mahaprabhu is going to show us how to do, because we are not supposed to consume rice, which are grain, on Ekadasi day, right? But how Mahaprabhu does, just observe and hear, please. So text 5, on the Lord's order, everyone bowed down, that they're following exactly what Mahaprabhu did there. So Mahaprabhu also bowed down when Mahaprasad was brought in front of him, and offered prayers to the Mahaprasadam, the regular Mahaprasad prayer that we all observe every day. Then they spent the entire night earnestly chanting the holy name, immersed in intense divine love. Okay, they didn't partake. Notice that. They honored but did not partake. Holding the Lord's order on their heads, everyone bathed in the morning and then broke their fast by honoring the Mahaprasada. With joyful hearts and joined palms, their devotees then made an appeal at the feet of the Lord. So now they are going to, so they first observed the Lord, how Lord did that, okay? And now they are going to ask the Lord to explain that, because there's a little conflict, what scripture says, what Mahaprabhu showed by his own examples. So now we're going to hear Mahaprabhu's his own words, okay? So Ekadasi at Sri Kshetra, that is exactly that, when Mahaprabhu was there as a sannyasi. Text 7, we know, so everybody is telling Mahaprabhu, we know that the crown jewel of all rites is to stay awake all night without food and water on the day of the Lord, that is Ekadasi day. We also know that at Sri Kshetra, Purushottam Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, Jagannath's Mahaprasadam should be honored at all times. See that the conflict? It says that at all times we should honor and should be eaten whenever it is being received. So now see that the dichotomy, this challenge, the difficulty. This is what the Shastra indicates. But in the Ekadasi, we are not supposed to consume rice preparation. Mahaprabhu, as he did by chance, now he's going to explain. So all the associates are explaining to Mahaprabhu that we are a little confused about that. So we live, oh sorry, what happened? We live in Sri Kshetra and are very afraid because of this dilemma. Okay, what is the dilemma? That Krishna we offered everything, okay? And then because of Mahaprasadam, and Krishna we offered rice preparation too. And Ekadasi, we are not supposed to consume rice. So how we should really satisfy both requirements, which are 180. So because this dilemma, so we pray, so they humbly prayed to the Lord to please explain. Now remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna himself. So we pray that you have given us, please give us the clear instructions, what we ought to be doing. So all the Vedas are your own instructions. And Brahmaji and Lord Shiva also follow your instructions. Please put an end to our confusion by giving us a clear instruction. So now we are going to hear, okay? So text 9, failing to observe the practice of Ekadasi leads to total ruination. So see, the devotees were confused and not knowing what ought to be done, and they were really afraid that they might commit some offense. So they want to hear directly from the Lord. If you worship the Ekadasi, Mahaprasada, and take it the following day, you will be cross over the dilemma, because the period of Ekadasi always ends the very next day. Purnati there, Text 10. On the day of the Lord, Ekadasi day, pure devotees are satisfied by drinking the rasa of the Krishna's name, holy name. That is the ecstasy. They do not partake of any other rasa or speak about anything else. So they are totally devoted to serving the Lord. And that is the true purpose of Ekadasi. They avoid all forms of enjoyment. You don't watch TV. Taking prasadam is a daily activity of pure devotees. And they do not eat anything that is not prasada. That's every devotee follows that. The exceptions are when you travel. Non-devotees enjoy day and night, using prasada as an excuse. Lightheartedly, they eat grains in which the personification of skin. So see that why we don't eat grains? Because Lord says that as if you are eating the sin itself. Okay. So there is a personification of sin is present in the rice and all the grains. So we disregard the right for Ekadasi like that. They're saying. So 13 text, everyone should devoutly honor and properly perform the practice of devotion. Then they will attain the grace of Bhakti Devi. So reject the association of non-devotees. We generally follow all the time, right? Of course, in this world, this day and age, we cannot avoid. So what we do that, as we discussed many times, we don't associate intimately, only intimate association with the devotees. But when we meet non-devotees, we of course, we follow general etiquette, but not to intimately associate those who are non-devotees. So reject the association of non-devotees and follow the Ekadasi rite by following the rite of chanting the holy name. All our offenses get excused if we take shelter of Ekadasi. Ekadasi is a personification of Bhakti Devi like that. Then your observance of Ekadasi will be successful. Text 14 through 18. Those who follow, I'm going a little bit slowly because these are very, very important instructions we are hearing. Those who follow the practice of devotion but disregard the others are foolish. Sincerely devote yourself to each practice according to its practice, time, rules, and rites. See, time, place, and circumstances. Krishna is the enjoyer of all devotional practices. Never forget that. So adhere to what pleases him. Anukulayena. Remember the definition of pure bhakti? Anya vilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. And the most important part is the second part of that sentence, the verse. Anukulayena Krishnano. Whatever that is favorable to Krishna, we should adopt. Whatever that is unfavorable to Krishna, that we should avoid. So adhere to what that pleases him. On the day of Ekadasi particularly, give up sleep and food, and on the following day, fully honor prasadam then, following day, and the other remnants of the Lord. Hearing this, all the devotees joyfully chanted, Hey Govinda, 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 and bowed down. Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai and all the devotees from Odisha and Gaudadesh, that is Mayapur Dham, were overjoyed. Oh brother, so now whenever we all know, whenever the author says, oh brother, he's directly addressing to us, okay? Gauranga is my life, author is saying. Gauranga is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And wealth, he is the life and wealth. And serve him sincerely. Then you will cross over the ocean of material existence. That is the key. And your body and mind will become tranquil. What is tranquil means? Peaceful, at quite blissful mood. And now we are going to hear the final verse from Mahaprabhu himself. Serving the holy name and following Kadasi are one and the same thing, Mahaprabhu said. So knowing service to that name and the Kadasi's right to be eternally one, practice them both. See that? Both means what? Serving the Lord and following Ekadasi. They are non-different from each other. Okay, now we rest of the time we will spend on this the collection of the mysteries of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, and that goes all the way 255 verses. Okay, but here today we will try to do it. I think first 28 verses of that. Totally. So I'm showing in this slide 78 verses of this chapter. Rest will continue other lessons and go into all the way to chapter 20 also. So instead of reading right here, we will go right through next slides, okay? Just to save the time. So before I do that, as we normally take a 5-minute break, so here also we'll take a 5-minute break. Unfortunately here, for whatever the Wi-Fi reasons, it won't allow me. So I will count 5 minutes right here. Okay, ready away now, Krishna. Then water or something. 5 minutes break. It took about 1 minute now. Okay. Thank you. So in this slide, what you see, there are texts 1 to 18 of 78 verses. And this is about the collection of the mysteries of holy name. You will learn something quite different that you may or may not know, okay? So there are verse 1 to 7, then 8 to 12, 13, 16, and 17, 18. So instead of reading from here, what I'm going to zoom it in these 4 quadrants. Well, the left side and the right side. Left side is text 1 through 12, and then the rest of the verses. So that way we can really focus. Okay. So here, text 1 to 7. And here what we're able to hear, the holy name is the only and best sadhana. Now there are, as we all know, there are different routes of self-realization. But Mahaprabhu is pointing out that the chanting of the holy name is the best. Why he said that? Because in Kali Yuga, and how is Kali Yuga is really characterized by hypocrisy and quarrel. So and we don't have a long lifespan. We are always troubled and so like that. So under that kind of situation, the best way is to chanting the holy name. We cannot do those strict other means by like yoga, meditation, all these things. It's very difficult to focus the mind. If you want to do meditation, really you need to focus your mind, but you're always disturbed by so many things going in Kali Yuga, and we have very short kind of attention span. So that's why he's saying that. So please do understand it in the right context. Okay, with that, let's read. So sitting in the midst of the assembly of devotees, moon-like Gaurachandra spoke to everyone, hear about the Dharma in the age of Kali. So now we are going to hear directly the instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is again non-different from Krishna. So as if we are hearing directly from Krishna. And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? I hope everybody remembers, right? He is himself, but he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And that's why he is more merciful. Sri Radha is more merciful than Krishna. And the holy name is even more merciful than, because that represents Srimati Radharani. So he is in the mood of Sri Radha, and he also took the complexion of Sri Radha. Krishna is dark blue, where Srimati Radharani is like molten gold complexion. So moon like Gaura and Gaurachandra, both Radha and Krishna combined, spoke to everyone, hear about the Dharma in the age of Kali. So this is what we are going to hear now. There is no duty other than chanting the holy name. There is the Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name. Very simple, straightforward, no hard and fast rules. The practice of the piety, so now he's talking about other means of self-realization. Why they are not practical the age of Kali. So the practice of piety, being a very pious person, knowledge, yoga, so Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, meditation, all are powerless. It's not possible to follow strictly in Kali Yuga. They are not methods to attain spiritual wealth. Virtue, rites, renunciation, and fire sacrifice, homas, and all these things like that, which are not possible strictly according to the Vedic injunctions. And we might commit offenses, that's why, are all mundane on a material platform. They are simple material piety, that's why. They do not help anyone attain spiritual wealth. The scriptures say that you will attain spiritual protection by simply uttering, remembering, and hearing the name of Krishna. That's the most powerful way of connecting with Krishna. You will find hidden truth about the name in all scriptures. And simply by uttering the holy name, you will feel spiritual joy. So that's the bliss that you experience is by doing that. If you chant with full attention, okay? So that's the summary of the first 7 verses. Now the summary of 8 to 12 verses. So now we are going to hear what exactly is Shri Nam Kirtana. I told you before, right? Japa, you're chanting yourself in a soft voice, but you should hear when you chant, okay? You should hear. And then the Kirtana, you're chanting loudly in the company of others, Sankirtana. So that's what I'm just telling you, and that's what we are going to hear. But now we are going to hear from Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana, that is Saunaka Rishi is represented in the audience, 88,000 saints gathered at Naimisharanya, the forest of Naimisharanya, and they are asking the question to Suta Goswami, who is doing the narration. So Saunaka Rishi asking, we have heard that the glories of uttering the name are greatly astounding, incredible, unbelievable, that potency. Just by uttering the name, the soul, and that is the very satisfaction, the nourishment of the soul itself. The soul attains the supreme abode. So now, please describe the rules for chanting the holy name. This is the standard practice.
Waiting for you.
Sorry, the practice of piety, knowledge, yoga, and meditation are powerless. They are not methods to attain spiritual wealth. Virtues, rites, renunciation, and fire sacrifice and all are mundane. Why? Because it's material practice in the sense, because they see generally, I'm not saying everyone or everything, but generally when they perform homas, what they ask, some material wealth, good business, taking care of the family and all this things like that, right? That's why it's a material plane. They do not help anyone attain spiritual wealth. The scriptures say that you will attain spiritual perfection by simply uttering, remembering, and hearing the holy name of Shri Krishna. Because Krishna himself invested his full potency in his holy name. You will find hidden truths about the name in all the scriptures. And simply by uttering the name, you will feel spiritual bliss. Text 8 to 12. So what is Nam Kirtana? Saunaka Rishi said, you heard that the glories of the uttering the names are greatly astounding. Just by uttering the name, souls attain the supreme abode. So yourself, because we are not body, we are spirit, soul. So our soul itself becomes blissful. That's why you experience chanting the holy name. If you do it properly, then we become very happy. So now please describe the rules. So now they want to hear directly from the authority, Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami now begin to address, O Shanaka Rishi, listen to me. I will recount to you. So that's what the acharyas, they do. They want to say, so they're going to quote something even greater authority. So here the authority that Narada Muni is asking question to the 4 Kumaras, okay? I will relate to you that conversation. Narada Muni is previously inquired from Sananda Kumara. Once having heard about the various types of dharma and the violence against dharma, Narada Muni, with joined palms, with great humility, inquired from the peaceful-hearted Sananda Kumara, who was seated on the bank of Yamuna. So Narada Muni is saying, O favorite of the Lord, please tell me how the violations against dharma made by the soul that you have described may be counteracted. So all the offenses, how we can circumvent, overcome. I will explain the meaning of this collection of verses in great detail later. O Sarupa and Ramananda, listen attentively. So now, text 13 to 16, Ucharana. Now, Sanskrit Ucharana means pronunciation. Okay? Here it's not exactly in that sense. Ucharana, Japa, and Kirtana. Understanding that the word Ucharana means chanting the holy name. That's what in that sense it is given. Devotees count the chanting either on their hands or on the tulsi beads. Sometimes they stop counting and chant the holy name without counting when you want to really continue that. Understand clearly that the word utterance refers to both of these types of chanting, soft as a japa and loud as in kirtana. Soft utterance is called japa, the loud utterance is called kirtana. Sankirtana means congregation of other devotees. Both are considered ways to practice remembrance and chanting. But howsoever the name is taken, the way of doing so in which there is no true glorification of the Lord is certainly the proper method to glorify the Lord. Let's read again. Both are considered ways to practice remembrance. So both japa and kirtan, both are effective. Okay. However, so howsoever the name is taken, doesn't matter. The way of doing so in which there is true glorification of the name, that is certainly the proper method to glorify the name. I hope you understand that. So both japa and kirtan are both effective. Kirtana should be always be performed by all means. Chanting the name is the eternal duty of the soul, and it is the primary activity of the souls both in this world and in the spiritual world. Chanting the name is the means to liberation for the conditioned soul, and it is the eternal engagement of the liberated souls. Now we go continue 19 to 22 all the way to 28. Non-devotional duties. Let me see how we are doing the time. Okay. I got about more time. So non-devotional duties method mentioned in the religious scriptures writes that do not have a devotional purpose. Renunciation, there is not an expression of the detachment produced by devotion and mundane non-devotional practice exercises. The scriptures say that all of these pious activities, so they are pious activities, of course, there's no question about that, are favorable to devotion because they have some connection with the Lord. That's how you need to connect. You need to link whatever the method you have to the link, like karma yoga, jnana yoga. Yoga, Ashtanga yoga is like that. So in the age of Kali Bhatti, particularly, however, they have all become material activities because our mind is disturbed all the time. Losing their favorableness to devotion, they all become corrupted. That is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recommending Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name, especially for Kali Yuga. So please understand properly. So in the age of Kali, there is no duty other than chanting the holy name. O devotees, listen. With the strength produced by devotion, carefully avoid all violations against chanting that name. So we should really avoid nama paradas, the 10 nama paradas. And we are going to hear a great deal, even in this Prema Vivarta. And the later one we will do Madhurya Kadambini, we'll hear a lot more about these 10 offenses. But here Sanat Kumara is instructing Narad Muni. Listen, O Narada, favorite of Govinda, expert in the service of Govinda, you were asked about the causes of being liberated from this world and overcoming ignorance. That was his question on behalf of us who are suffering this material existence. So here, O Narada, you are an expert in the service of Sri Govinda. You are dear to Govinda and you cut away the soul's bondage with illusion. So Narada Muni himself is a great, great devotee. He's a devotional potency. He represents devotional potency of the Lord. You have asked about the cause of liberation from this world. Souls will overcome ignorance through the answer to your question. Directly he's answering the question. In the age of Kali, all forms of religion and irreligion are filled with ignorance. So that's the problem with the age of Kali. We are always disturbed. We have very little intelligence compared to other yugas. And we are always disturbed. And this is the age of hypocrisy and quarrel. That makes it difficult. The other means, which are good, powerful, but not in this age. Whereas chanting the holy name is very easy and direct. Without chanting the name, the soul's entanglement in this world cannot be destroyed. So that concludes today's class. I hope I have completed in time. So quite a few interesting things we learned, right? About Ekadasi, especially even though we offer Krishna grains, rice, and everything, but we don't partake, we honor, but we consume on the following day. The Ekadasi will continue next day, but the fasting stops the next day. We break our fast. So that's the important element, take home message that I found out. Okay, I realized. And when chanting the holy name, especially the mysteries of the holy name, 2 or 3 things that stands out. First, while the other means are there, of self-realization, what other means? Through jnana, through karma, through yoga, all this meditation, performing Vedic sacrifices, homas, and things like that. They are all good methods, okay, in other ages, but in this age, they are not very practical for most of us. And chanting the holy name is very easy. So the recommendation by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that in the age of Kali, chanting of the holy name is the most powerful way and most practical way and powerful way, potent way to connect with Krishna. So it's the age of Kali, the age of hypocrisy and quarrel, that makes us difficult to follow other methods. But there are very strict regulations for the other self-realization method of self-realization. Whereas for chanting the holy name, there are no. So Krishna particularly made it very easy for us in this age of Kali. We have a short lifespan relatively. That's why this is the way to do it. So that's why chanting the holy name is a Yuga Dharma. That's the highlight. Then we learn a little bit more, few mysteries, and we are going to continue hearing that in the next 2 lessons. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
So thank you so much for this wonderful session. Prabhuji, so as you said in the class that like following the other ways of like Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, all these are very difficult, and only Bhakti Yoga is has been recommended for. It is a Yuga Dharma and chanting of the holy name. So similarly, when it comes to Ekadashi, like fasting from grains is comparatively easier. But when you but in ISKCON there is a big list of things that one should avoid during Ekadashi, which are non-grain, like turmeric and coriander leaves and certain things. So should we get into all these nitty-gritties, or should we focus more on the Nam Japa and only take the essence, that is fasting from grains? What should be the right way of fasting also during Ekadashi? Please
Yeah,
advise.
there are nitty-gritty details, and I also rather focus on main principles. Main principle on Ekadasi day, as we learned today from the words of Jagadananda Prabhu, is to really focus serving the Lord. That includes everything. There's so many nitty-gritty details. Main important point: avoid eating grains, because that is a personification of sin on Ekadasi day. That's why we should avoid that. But all other details, some of that you mentioned about turmeric, and I had no idea about that really, and I personally don't give details. If you follow the principle statement, that's more important than the nitty-gritty details. It's a time, place, and circumstances, and follow the instructions of our spiritual master or the senior Vaishnavas, that I would do that. But I personally just follow Ekadasi Prasadam, and I wish I could do Nirjala Ekadasi, all Ekadasis, but my medical condition that does not allow. And that Prabhupada also says, depending upon your medical condition, because I had to take a bunch of medicines, and so still I follow Ekadasi by avoiding grains and so on like that. Just Ekadasi Prasadam. So that's what I do, I personally. But I'm sure we'll discuss about that. If some of you knows a lot more details about it, please share. And Sharat Prabhu, I'm sure we are going to hear. But I personally, really don't pay much attention to the nitty-gritty details about very strict, because that is sometimes very difficult. And then we get sidetracked. We lose the main focus. Main focus is to serve Krishna. And that is whatever that's favorable to him, the Lord, that we follow. That is not that which is not favorable, we should avoid. That is the rule, general rule that we follow. That's all I can say, Samata Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Hi, let's see. I just want to figure it out how to stop sharing here. Here it says stop sharing. Yes. Yeah. Any other question points, please? Please feel free. Oh, it's frozen screen. Okay, now we got it. Thank you. So everybody's with me so far?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, you can, I'm sure you know a lot more than what I do. Perhaps please share with us some of the question that was asked by Samata Mataji, if you can share. Haribo.
Thank you very much, first of all, for a nice, wonderful presentation. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mataji.
Yes, yes.
Okay. What Samata Mataji asked was about turmeric. Turmeric, generally, we don't use the outside turmeric made in the shops, turmeric powder. But those some people in India, they can make their own turmeric, that is turmeric powder. They buy the turmeric roots, the dried ones, and then they pound it, and powder it in the mixer, and you can use that for Ekadashi. The only thing why we don't use all these things is because it could be contaminated by grains or other things, like because when they make the turmeric powder in the factories, they could have added some grains to make it very smooth powder. So for that purpose, we don't use outside anything, any powders for that matter, which is made outside. If you really want to use turmeric, we can still use it, but we can grind it at home and use it.
Good
So
point,
that
Mataji.
is-
I too had heard that the commercially available haldi powder, they mix it with chana atta, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
about.
something like that, chana atta or rice or something to make it very smooth.
Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you.
Prabhu, I also heard that after 80 years old, you don't have to follow Ekadashi. Is it true? Have you heard something like that?
I never heard that. Saratmati, have you heard that kind of statement?
Yes, I'll cover that when yes, that is true. 8 and 80 years.
8 and 80.
Less than 8 and more than 80, they are actually exempted.
Yes.
It is not compulsory for them. That's what in ISKCON also it is said that.
That makes sense too. Yeah, that makes sense too, because before 8, the child is very difficult. The same way, person like 80 or so, I'm 79. So much as I can offer.
So one more year,
I try
Prabhu.
my best. But I don't know, 2 or 5 years from now, I don't know what will be my condition. But I cannot do Nirjala Ekadasi because I have to take a lot of medicine, a bunch of medicine. You will forget what 15, 20 different medicines I have to take every day. Okay.
Yeah.
Any
Hare
other
Krishna,
points?
Prabhuji. Dandat pranam.
Raksha Mataji, thank you.
So wonderful class, Prabhuji. So wonderful information about Ekadashi and all. प्रभुजी जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र में मोस्टली ऐसा देखा जाता है कि वो लोग एकादशी फॉलो नहीं करते हैं वहां पे, वो एरिया में. वो सही है प्रभुजी?
Sharat Prabhuji is right from that place. He could tell us about that.
I'll cover these points at the end.
Because that sounds very strange to me, Thank you.
ओके प्रभुजी.
Hare
तो
Krishna.
प्रभुजी निर्जला एकादशी अभी 31 मई को ही है, तो अगर हम स्टार्टिंग तो बहुत अच्छे से करते हैं, मगर मैं ऐसा करती हूँ कि हो सके उतना टाइम, फिर अगर ऐसा लगे कि अभी नहीं हो पाएगा तब मैं कुछ मिल्क वगैरह ले लेती हूँ. तो इतने सालों में सिर्फ 2 बार हुआ मेरा, बस 2 times I did.
So again,
But
like I said, again, Mahaprabhu is pointing out the main important point. We should not sidetrack. Main important that your devotion to Krishna, that should be as best as you can, that would, I would say, okay. But again, Sharat Prabhuji can tell us more. He is right from a holy dham, right there, Purushottam Kshetra, So he, as far as we are concerned, our group is concerned, I consider him to be like an authority, okay? Yes. Haribol, who's asking? Who's saying that? I can hardly hear. Oh, yes, बहन जी, आप भाई कहिए. आपका आवाज थोड़ा break हो रहा है. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking.
Oh, sorry. After days of 65 or 60, हमें कुछ निर्जला एकादशी तो नहीं रखना चाहिए, मतलब बोला जाता है नहीं रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम ये निर्जला एकादशी रखते हैं तो हमारे अंदर जो स्टेमिना होता है वो इतना नहीं रहता कि हम चांटिंग पूरा डे कर सकें. तो बेटर है कि हम चांटिंग, कीर्तन, ये सब चीजें करें, और उसकी बजाय अगर हम कुछ ले लेते हैं, वाटर और फ्रूट्स, that is better, or we should avoid water?
I would agree with this, most practical. I also cannot do chant all day. Once or twice I did 64 rounds. There I did, but that was a very, very rare, when I was about 5 or 10 years still younger. At that time I used to do, but it's not possible at this stage for me, at least.
Yeah.
So like Amin said, your devotion is more important. If that you can do,
yes.
that is the best, So,
yes.
जितना
if
हो
possible
सके,
we,
जितना हो सके इतना कीजिए, मगर because we have to keep our body and soul together. We need this healthy body to serve Krishna. If we jeopardize
Yes.
that, then how are we are not
Yes.
going to solve we lose the bigger purpose.
Yes, yes. That is I'm asking Vaiji.
Yeah. So thank you,
Thank you.
Benji.
Thank you, Vaiji.
I think again,
Thank you, Vaiji.
in our group, Sharad Prabhu is the authority. We'll
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that he will have a last word on that. Okay. Because
Yes, yes. Yes, Vaiji.
his readings is quite extensive, more than me.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Sharad Prabhuji, and if you are thinking, some of you, please feel free to ask, okay? But Sharad Prabhuji can shed some more light on many of the questions that you asked, because not only he's a well-read personality, but he lives right in the holy dham, and he must be associating with all the senior Vaishnavas, senior acharyas. So I'm sure he must have, say something with more authoritatively than I possibly could. Sharad Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There is enough time. I'll first tell you there is a story in the Purana about Ekadasi, how it came through, how it started, and what the Lord had said himself. What happened once in one of the Satyugas, there was a fearsome demon named Mura, and he was always angry and he terrified all the demigods, including Indra, the king of heaven, even the sun god, the 8 Vasus, the Lord Brahma, the wind god, the Agni, everybody was fearful about him. Then the demigods, they approached Lord Vishnu and they prayed to him for help. And hearing the prayers and the request from Indra, Lord Vishnu became very angry and he said, "O powerful demigods, all together you may now advance on the Mura's capital city, Chandravati, and attack, and you will be successful." And encouraged by this, the demigods, they proceeded to the city of Chandravati with Lord Vishnu himself leading. And there was a big fight between the soldiers of Mura and the demigods, and many hundreds of demons, they were killed by the Lord's hand. But demon Mura began fighting with the Lord. First he fought with weapons, then with bare hands, and the Lord rested with Mura for 1,000 celestial years, and then apparently fatigued, he left for Badrikasrama for taking rest. Now very interesting what happened. Then in Badrikasrama, he entered a very beautiful cave, which is known as Himavati, to take rest. And the demon, he followed him into the cave and seeing him asleep, started thinking, today I'll kill the slayer of all demons, Lord Hari. And while this wicked demon Mura was making his plans, from Lord Vishnu's body, there manifested a young girl who had a very bright complexion, and Mura saw that she was equipped with various brilliant weapons and was ready to fight. And challenged by that female to battle, Mura prepared himself and then fought with her. But he became very astonished when he saw that she fought with him without cessation. And the king of the demons, Mura, said, who has created this angry, fearsome girl with whom I am not able to fight? And suddenly that effulgent goddess shattered all of Mura's weapons in a moment and deprived him of his chariot. And Mura ran towards her to attack with bare hands. But when she saw him coming, she angrily cut off his hand. Now the demon at once fell to the ground and went to the abode of Yamraj. Then the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, woke up and saw the dead demon before him and saw the maiden bowing down to him with joined palms. And the Lord, he was very much pleased with the girl and offered to give her a boon. the maiden said, "Oh Lord, if you are pleased with me and you want to give me a boon, then give me the power to deliver from the greatest sins that persons who fast on this day. And I wish that half the pious credit obtained by anyone who fast will accrue to one who eats only in the evening, that is abstaining from the grains and beans, and that half of this pious credit will be earned by one who eats only at midday. Now also one who strictly observes a complete fast on my appearance day with his senses totally controlled, he goes to the abode of Lord Vishnu for 1 billion kalpas after he has enjoyed all kinds of pleasures in this world. And this is the boon I desire to attain by your mercy. And the Supreme Lord said that I hereby grant you this the boon, and all my devotees in this world will surely fast on this day, and thus they will become famous throughout the 3 worlds, and finally come and stay with me in my abode. And because of you, my transcendental potency have appeared on the 11th day of the waning moon, let your name be Ekadasi. And if a person fast on Ekadasi day, I will burn all his sins and bestow upon him my transcendental abode. Now, regarding Ekadasi, let us know some more things. From the very beginning of his childhood life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing fast on the Ekadasi day, and it is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that his mother Sachidevi, initially she was not fasting on the Ekadasi day, but Lord Chaitanya had asked her to do so. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami has quoted from Skanda Purana. He has said that a person is admonished who eats grains on Ekadasi because he becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, spiritual master, and even if he is elevated to Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. And on Ekadasi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal, but it is enjoined that a Vaishnava should not even take Vishnu Prasadam on Ekadasi, as we learned today in the class. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said. And it is said that a Vaishnava does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to the Lord Vishnu. But on Ekadasi, a Vaishnava should not touch even Mahaprasadam offered to Vishnu, although such Mahaprasadam may be kept for being taken on the next day. Here in Jagannatha Puri, that is in the Purushottam Khetra, what the people, the smartas, they follow, they say one can take prasadam, Mahaprasad, Jagannath Mahaprasad on Ekadasi day, and they follow this. But we have to follow what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us in the various scriptures, and here we learned in the Prema Vivarta. That is the final order. No grain prasadam, Mahaprasad of Jagannath also on the Ekadasi day, that can be taken on the next day. And it is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain on Ekadasi, even if it is offered to Vishnu. Ekadasi literally it means the 11th day. And as we know, there are 2 Ekadasis in a month. And there are total of about 25 Ekadasis in a year. But here also, please remember that these dates, many a times, for Vaishnavas it is different, for Smartas it is different. And even in Vaishnavas, for different Vaishnava Sampradayas, there are different dates, consecutive dates. Like this last Ekadasi here in India, it was on 15th. But the 16th was for some other Vaishnava Sampradaya, like this. That's why if somebody asks what we should follow, we should follow the sampradaya in which we are, or the Guru Maharaj, his orders. That means we should follow what is given in ISKCON, and that is the final thing. And here, what has been told even today, that although Ekadasi fasting is good for health, it should be undertaken principally for the sake of pleasing Lord Krishna. And to observe Ekadasi Vrata and Dwadasi Vrata means to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And those interested in advancing in Krishna consciousness, they should observe Ekadasi. Haribhakti Vilas by Sanatan Goswami, it quotes from many scriptures to establish the necessity of observing Ekadasi Vrata, to glorify the Vrata, to establish the proper day on which to observe the Vrata, and to give the proper mode of observance. And observing Ekadasi Vrata is one of the principal duties of a Vaishnava. And to fail on this is a serious offense. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, he has sung in one of the songs in Saranagati, that I observe with great care the holy days of Ekadasi and Janmashtami, and for they are the mother of devotion. And all people from all castes, all ages, from 8 to 80, they should observe the Ekadasi Vrata in all circumstances. And this applies to Ekadasi, both the Ekadasis. And if you read these stories of all the Ekadasis, then you will find in one story, there was a king who even prohibited the animals to eat anything, any grains, even on Ekadasi days. So this used to be even followed in older times. Now regarding fasting, we were talking about grains, what must be avoided. That is, we should avoid grains, means wheat, rice, etc., dal, peas, bean type of vegetables, mustard seeds, sesame seeds, except on Sattila Ekadasi day, when sesame seeds may be offered and eaten. Then derivatives of these foods, that is wheat flour, mustard oil, soybean oil, and food items containing these products. For instance, care should be taken in using the powdered spices which are commercially produced, because they are often mixed with flour. As we came out, and it is prohibited to be taken on Ekadasi day. Particularly, we should be very much careful about this commercially prepared hing, which is mixed with flour and should not be used on the Ekadasi days. And if even a slight piece of grain is ingested, even accidentally, then the Ekadasi fast is broken. Devotees should not even think of neglecting the Ekadasi fast unless its observance would severely restrain their health. And only in rare cases, those who are physically unable to fast may take grains on Ekadasi, but then only with the explicit permission of their Guru Maharaj only. And those who in the course of the year, they break Ekadasi fast even once, they should observe the yearly Bhima Nirjala Ekadasi or Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, which is coming on 31st of this month. And in Pancharatra Pradeepa also it is said that one who is very strictly observing the Ekadasi should avoid all spices except pepper, rock salt, and cumin. And he should also abstain from certain vegetables such as the tomatoes, cauliflower, eggplant, and leafy vegetables. And Srila Prabhupada usually observed the Ekadasi fast in the simplest manner prescribed in the scriptures by refraining from eating grains, beans, peas, and dal. And sometimes he observed a half-day fast. And some devotees, they eat fruit only on Ekadasi day, and some take water, and some fully fast, even from water on this day, like the Nirjala Ekadasi. And I have seen many people who observe Nirjala Ekadasi in all the Ekadasi days. And regarding the non-grain, high carbohydrate foods, they are often prepared on Ekadasi days. But please be very careful about the sago. That is the topeka, which is a common example, which is eaten by everybody. But this is sometimes mixed with rice flour, and apparently sometimes with many other impurities. So unless one is sure about the source, sago also should be avoided. And in India, the preparations resembling chapatis and rice are made on Ekadasi from non-grain ingredients. They are also available in many ISKCON temples and by ISKCON authorized shops that can be bought actually. Actually, on the Ekadasi days, we should not take any food. That is the rule. But as Prabhuji has said, if somebody's health condition is not permitting, somebody is not well, then he can take something which is not grain based. So the simple rules we should observe. And Prabhupada also has said in one place that he said there are so many rules, but I am telling you the simple rules, please follow them. And that is enough. So this is what it is. That's why we should not hear about what the smarthas they do and what people do in Sri Kshetra, because we should follow what is followed in the ISKCON and what has been told to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have finished.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very nice, informative. Anybody else you want to ask? Okay, I guess if no questions, I'm going to request maybe Samata Mataji this time or Raksha Mataji to conclude the class.
Yes, Mata. Yes, Prabhuji. I'm doing the Narasimha prayer.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Daine. Prahlad Daine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankan khalaye, Shilatankan khalaye, Ito Narsimha, Parato Narsimha, Ito Narsimha, Parato Narsimha, Yato Yami Tato Narsimha, Bahir Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha, Bahir Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha, Narasimha Madhur Sharanam Pravate, Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakha, Adbhuta Shringar, Dalita Hiranyakashipu, Tanuvringam, Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Ho Narsimha Dev, Narsimha Dev, Narsimha Dev, Jai Ho Narsimha Dev, Jai Ho Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jai Ho Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय हो। भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो। प्रेमा विवर्ती क्लास की जय हो। चारु प्रभु की जय हो। शरद प्रभु की जय हो। सर्व डिवोटियों की जय हो। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। थैंक
Thank you
यू।
very much. Thank you very much, Lakshmataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Bhagavad Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tam Bhajami. All glory to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glory to all the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all glory to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So everyone, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Shri Prabhupada. So we conclude the class and we continue tomorrow. So I see you back tomorrow again. Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत
Thank you.
प्रणाम।